Okay, let's talk about the dream, right? That perfect destination wedding. You're picturing it, sun, sand, and saying I do on the absolutely stunning shores of Kauaʻi. But what does that dream actually cost when you want to bring your closest friends and family? Well, we're about to break down the real numbers.
The vision is so clear, isn't it? A super intimate ceremony on a pristine beach, surrounded by just 30 of your favorite people in the world. It feels simple, you know? Natural, personal. A beautiful ceremony, some amazing photos, and then a celebration. Sounds easy enough.
But here's the thing. There is one single, deceptively simple number that can completely upend that perfect vision. It's a number that unlocks a whole world of regulations, hidden costs, and logistical headaches you never saw coming.
And that brings us to our first huge point, what we're calling the 30-person squeeze. See, this isn't just about how many invitations you send. It's about a hard legal limit that forces some really, really tough decisions. That number is 30. This is the absolute, non-negotiable legal cap for any kind of commercial gathering on a public beach in Hawaii. This is set by the state's Department of Land and Natural Resources. Not 31, not 32, 30. Period.
So, here's where it gets kind of crazy. The state's limit of 30 people, that includes every single person on the sand. So that's you two, plus your officiant, your coordinator, your photographer, maybe their assistant, and a videographer. All of a sudden, your 30-person wedding can only actually have 23 guests. It's a serious mathematical squeeze before you've even licked a single stamp.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head. Your wedding is suddenly too big for those simple, affordable elopement packages that are designed for, just the couple, but it's often way too small to meet the gigantic food and beverage minimums required by the big resorts. You're basically stuck in this planning no man's land.
Okay, so let's say you manage the guest list, you've got it down to your 23 people, great. Now you have to deal with the actual rules of the beach itself, and they are surprisingly strict. Let's dig into the fine print of paradise.
First off, forget about a seated ceremony. Chairs are completely banned. The only exception is maybe a few for elderly or disabled guests. For everyone else, it is standing room only.
You know those beautiful floral arches you see all over Instagram? Yeah, those are also illegal on a public beach. No structures of any kind are allowed on the sand. The backdrop is the ocean, and that is it.
Want to walk down the aisle to your favorite song? Well, you're gonna need a live musician, because amplified music, speakers, sound systems, anything like that is strictly prohibited. It's all about preserving the peace.
And here it is. This is the biggest rule of all. The party cannot happen here. No food, no alcohol, no tables. The beach is for the ceremony and the ceremony only. Your celebration has to move somewhere else.
On top of all those restrictions, you've got the paperwork. You need a state permit, which isn't super expensive, but to even get it, you have to have hundreds of thousands of dollars in liability insurance, naming the state of Hawaii as an insured party. And your entire event, from setup to breakdown, has to be done within 2 hours. This is exactly why almost everyone hires a planner who already has all this stuff sorted.
Okay, so with all those rules in mind, let's talk about money. You'll see these packages advertised for a few $1,000s, but let me tell you, that is rarely, if ever, the final price for a 30-person event.
And this table just shows you how chaotic the pricing really is. I mean, look at this. You've got one company charging almost $3,000 for a package that only includes 8 guests. But then another one, Kauaʻi Island Weddings, offers a package for the full 30-person limit for just under $1,600. The base price tells you almost nothing.
So, the most important thing to understand is how these costs build up. You start with that base package for the ceremony. But then, because of all those beach rules, you have to add a private venue for the reception. Then comes the catering, then extending your photographer's time so they can cover the party, and then finally, the taxes and service charges.
And this just illustrates the explosion perfectly. That really attractive $3,000 ceremony package, it quickly becomes a nearly $17,000 event. You can see how the mandatory private venue, the reception catering, and all those service charges just completely dwarf that initial cost.
So let's look closer at those fees. On top of the state's 4.71% general excise tax, which gets applied to everything, venues and resorts add this mandatory 20 to 25% service charge to your entire food and beverage bill. That is a massive and often totally unexpected addition to your final invoice.
Which really brings us to the inevitable conclusion for anyone trying to plan a wedding this size.
If you want to have the experience you're actually dreaming of, with chairs, music, and a meal, you have to get off the sand.
This is the fork in the road. It's this simple. A public beach gets you that ceremony for under $3,000, but it's standing room only with a ton of strict rules. A private venue, on the other hand, gives you total control and comfort for both the ceremony and the reception, but the price jumps into the tens of thousands.
And these private venues are not cheap. The Beach House, which is a premier oceanfront spot, starts at $15,000 but can easily top $35,000. Even a smaller, more DIY-friendly garden venue can set you back $16,000 for just 20 guests. And the resorts? With their fees and service charges, they inflate those costs even further.
So all of this leaves us with one final question. Is that simple, affordable, 30-person Kauaʻi beach wedding just an illusion? And the answer kind of seems to be yes, if you also want a reception. The dream is possible, but only if you're willing to embrace the very strict reality of a state's rules or pivot to a budget that's anything but small.